Hello YouTube, Gamer Ninja here, and as some of you might know, I play League of Legends, and admittedly, I'm not a high tier player. I'm Silver 2 right now. I just went up quite a bit recently in the past couple of weeks. And some of my, how can I put this? Less experienced friends have been asking, well, how are you climbing so hard out of Elo Hell? And I guess I would just want to talk about what Elo Hell, in my mind, is. Now, Elo Hell, for most people, is the belief, well, what it seems to be that people believe is that you need to be lucky to climb. And only the lucky get to be in diamond, platinum, whatever. And because no matter what happens, you have the trash team. And while there have been games where I have been stuck with AD carry Caitlyn, who somehow loses to Graves early, level 2, and the Ezreal who doesn't know how to use his Q and all that fun stuff. The Sona who ults backwards on top of your team instead of the enemy team. That type of stuff happens, and there are games that there are games that you just won't win. It's just not going to happen. And that's fine. I mean, if you think about it, a good win ratio for a champion would be 55%. So that means that you lose 45 games out of 100 on a champion. So if you lose, you're fine. I mean, losing is not the end of the world, and I tend to learn more from when I lose. I remember a game recently where in normal queue, I was stuck up against a Diamond 2 Nami. She single-handedly carried her entire team on her back. And there's not a whole lot I can do about that. She was just better than me. I'll be right back, guys. My cell phone's going. Alright, I'm sorry about that. A slightly important phone call came in, and that might not have been the most professional thing to do, but it was really important. And this is about the 5th time I've had to do this video, so we're not doing it again. Let's see here. Elo Hell, that's right. People seem to think that it takes more luck than skill to get out of Elo Hell. And I'm sorry, but that isn't true. While luck, quote-unquote, does take a big part in League of Legends with how well you can work with your teammates and such, because remember, the people that you're with are real people, so if you're an asshole, you're being an asshole to another person. It's really it's different than, Elo Hell is different than what I think people think it is. It's not, it takes luck to climb, I can't climb because I am visibly better than my teammates, but I'm not at the point where I am so far ahead of them that I can climb up effectively on my own. That is what Elo Hell is to me. It's where I am better than my teammates at a margin, but I'm not better enough by a large enough margin to single-handedly carry. And a lot of people will say, well, I go 22-0-9 on Zed at the first 20-minute mark. First off, if you're 22-0-9 at the 20-minute mark as Zed, and you lose, that is entirely your fault. There is no way a single soul should be able to 1v1 you on the when you have 22 kills. I don't even care what their team comp is. Unless it's Kale. If it's Kale and then she gets Lulu ulted, you might have an excuse for losing. But then it's not a 1v1. It's really annoying to hear people say, I'm in Elo Hell, I get all these kills, blah 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 blah. And maybe this is just because I'm a support main, so I don't value my KDA nearly as much as other people. But do kills really end the game? You can be 100 kills up on the enemy, but if they still have their Nexus, the game is still on. And if the game continues on to a late enough point, All those kills don't matter. Early game kills are worth what? Like 10 CS? And while that's a significant amount, it's not unrecoverable just off of the kill. The real goal of the kill is to get the opponent out of lane because they're dead and push down the tower. And emphasis on pushing down the tower. And so when people say I'm stuck in Elo Hell and I just see them running around trying to grab kills, that is why. They're running around grabbing kills and not focusing down turrets. And that's frustrating. And then again, we also have the inevitable, well, I can't win. My team is so bad because they let me die. Because you couldn't have done anything else? I'm 100% sure that every single one of your deaths could be attributed in some way, no matter how small, to a misplay on your part. Nearly every single death. It could be you didn't drop a ward at a certain point. It could be you shadow jumped to the other way. It could be that you just didn't dodge Lee Sid's Q, so he was able to jump on your face, cripple you, and roundhouse kick you back into his team. But no matter what, this is something I've sort of started to do, and it's a bit painful. But if you're ever about to start to blame someone, bite your tongue. Literally, bite your tongue. And then think, what could I personally have done to do something better? It could be something as small as, I should have bought a ward instead of going 3 potions back. Or, you know, if I had flashed into the bush, Fizz wouldn't have vision of me so he couldn't hit me with his Q. Or, I should have guessed that Evelyn was there because my laning opponent got really, really aggressive all of a sudden, even though I could kill him with 1 auto attack. Or, you know, I could have played safer. I could have hung back further. I could have kited better. I could have thrown down a snap trap if I'm Caitlyn. I could have arcane shifted away and just not fought there. I could have just given up the turret. And then, because there are 4 of them and only 1 of me, and just try to regroup further at the next turret back. I could have let my mid laner get the blue buff, and therefore she would have had mana for this team fight. I could have given him my AD carry the red buff, so he could have kited more this fight. I guarantee that if you do this, and really honestly think about each one of your deaths, you can find some technical misplay or some decision that went wrong and led to your death. Even if it's really small. Even if your Thresh hooked it into the middle of 5 of them, jumped in for no good reason while you were all back at Nexus, or back at the turret, and he's in the middle of the lane, you probably could have done something better, such as not fight. Seriously, you don't need to fight every single time a team goes in. Use your head, figure out if that's a winnable fight quickly. Because obviously if you take too long, your tanks are going to get melted way too fast because it's a 2v5 effectively, or 1v5 or whatever, and then jump on them. So, in order to improve out of League, you need to be able to understand your mistakes. It could be a lot of things. It could be you didn't get enough CS so you weren't able to become a threat. It could be you let your opponent farm for free for too long. But another thing that is annoying is when people say, OMG, we lost because Caitlyn didn't group with us. Because that just happened. And if an ally is running off and split pushing on their own and you want to group on them. Even if they're terrible. Even if it is not the optimal play. Even if it's not ideal to fight in the top lane when you have an exposed inhibitor bot lane and she's pushing top for whatever ungodly reason. Push top with her. Why? Well, a team fight requires 5 members, ideally, on each team. And if you're trying to fight a 4v5, unless you are ridiculously fed, you're probably going to lose. And then Caitlyn's just going to die. You might as well go with her to try to knock down something. Semi-decent play done by 5 people is way better than the best play done by 4. because if your play doesn't pan out when you have 4, you can't do anything until you respawn. This way, at least when you have 5, you have the best chance of succeeding at something. And that's the important thing. You can later say, hey, Caitlyn, we probably shouldn't have pushed top, but it worked out because we all grouped up on you. So, if you want to climb up quickly, at least this is what I did. There are several things that I've done. 1, I've learned more than just one role. Yes, I'm a support main. Yes, I'm pretty decent at support. Yes, I love the role, and yes, I really do enjoy it. But that's not the only role I can play. I can play top, I can play mid, I can play jungle. Granted, my mid game is pretty bad, but I usually just play Lulu or Kale and just say I have a crap ton of utility and don't lose anyway. 2, play the OP champions. They're OP for a reason, people. That being said, don't pick an OP champion if you don't know how to play said OP champion. If I had $1 for every time a Lee Sin said, oh, Lee Sin's open, I'm going to play him, and then he proceeded to do terrible, then I would never have to go to college because I'd be set for the rest of my life. It's pretty damn annoying. Just because an OP champion is open doesn't mean you should play it. 3, ward. Everybody should ward. When you back and you have some extra gold after you bought your blasting wand or whatever, buy a ward. Place it somewhere. It helps. Vision, information, and being able to see where the enemy's trying to pressure you is immensely important. Side note here, if I run into another fucking fiddle support that doesn't buy a Sightstone, I've run into 5 of those fuckers in the past week. I am so sick of seeing that. As a support, always buy Sightstone. I don't care. I do not care if you have 10 kills and you want to build AP. Get fucking Sightstone. Okay, now that's off of my chest. That's basically what I've been doing. I've been buying wards, I've been expanding my champion pool, I've been playing champions that I think are really strong right now. And I've been just sort of expanding what I can do comfortably. Learn your matchups. Learn what your what your Achilles heel is. For instance, I suck versus Darius. I hate that motherfucker. I suck against Renekton, and I hate Darius. I suck against all of those champions in top lane. And Teemo too, but Teemo I don't really care about because I'll just outscale him anyway. But I hate those 3 champions. I hate. And unfortunately, I don't really play enough top lane Kale to really say that she's a reliable counter to her. But it's really important to know what champions you personally are weak to, so you can give the jungler a heads up and say, hey, I suck versus 95% of Darius's. So if I could get a little bit of early pressure, I'd appreciate it. And if I'm ever in that lane, I know how to not feed. Now, how do you not feed? Well, you just play safe. And what does that entail? Well, it might mean giving up some CS. Yes, CS is important. But if you die, the enemy effectively gets a +10 to their CS, then they get a free wave without you being there, and then they get turret damage. That's a lot for an early death. Don't die early. Do not die early against a champion like that. Don't try to fight them when they're stronger than you. Know when each champion is at their power spikes. For instance, I know for hell I'm never fighting a Renekton once he hits 3. Or even level 2, because he'll just kick my ass. He just does way too much damage, can dash, close the gap, press W, and I'm stunned for 1.5 seconds, or whatever the length is, and then proceed to beat my ass in, regardless of how strong or fed I am. Unless I managed to kill him 9 times early, but if I killed somebody 9 times before they hit level 3, there's probably a bigger problem with that player. What else is there? Well, I guess you should... Another thing that's really helped is learning how to let yourself be carried. Now, this is a bit strange, because it sounds like it's the same, don't feed, but it really isn't. If you're losing lane, and you're losing it pretty badly, and you're like barely getting any CS, you're probably not going to be a damaging threat at all. Because you need gold and items to be a threat, to do damage, right? Like, if I'm playing LeBlanc and I've only gotten 10 CS by 5 minutes in, then I'm probably screwed. It doesn't really matter. Now, that being said, this is a bit of a sweeping statement when I say this, but I'm sick of seeing people who lose lane, build damage, and they try to ult in their opponent the moment they walk back into lane. They've been beating your ass this entire time. They have more gold than you. Why would you try to fight them? Don't assume that the opponent is worse than you. Always assume, hey, maybe he just messed up or he had a lag spike or something. Always assume that the opponent is at least as good as you. And fight like they're at least as good as you. Don't do a fight unless you are pretty sure or have an advantage over them. Like they're in the middle of your creep wave. In which case, go all in on them because they're in the middle of your creep wave getting damaged. And that's a lot of additional damage. Maybe I'll do a separate video on what makes it easier to carry. But long story short, find a champion for a role. Like for my case, top lane, almost all my champions that I really like playing are countered heavily by Darius. Find a champion that brings enough utility that even if you're behind, it doesn't matter. You'll still have that utility. In my case, it's Lulu. And basically, if I lose lane, I'm just going to build like a support. I've built a second sight stun just so we have had vision all over the map. Just because if I'm not going to be able to do the shit tons of damage that I want to do as Lulu, I might as well do something that can help the team. I might as well become bulkier with Randuids and Aegis. I might as well get a sight stun so that we have vision so we don't get picked off one at a time. And I might as well just stick with the AD carry along with the support because, let's be honest here, if the Fed Caitlyn has both a Braum and a Lulu covering her, she should never die. And I might as well just try to do the best I can by being more of a support rather than a damage carry. Supports can carry. Their utility is really high. So that's why Kayle, that's probably one of the reasons why Kayle is ridiculously strong. Because no matter how badly she does early, she still has 3 seconds of fuck you. Like, really hard. It's really hard to counter Kayle. You can either focus her, in which case she can just ult herself, or even just ult someone else, and just say, haha, you just focus somebody who is sucking anyway, whatever. Or they could try to CC stun someone who's invincible. Okay, they just blew all their CC, whatever. And then she still has enough sustain to keep poking people down, to keep, or to help deal with poke, I'm sorry. And to keep on... And to keep people alive by making them run faster. She's... Okay. I've sort of gone off on a tangent here, and I'm sorry. But in short, how do you get out? How do you climb like I've done from Silver 5 to Silver 2 in the past 2 weeks? Buy wards. That's really important. Adjust your build to how well you're doing. If you're losing lane, build bulkier, build more utility-based stuff like Twin Shadows or whatever. Do something that doesn't require you to do damage. Expand your champion pool to play the OPs, or champions that are really, really strong right now. Get more comfortable on those champions. Take objectives. Focus objectives over kills. And if you keep doing that, you'll eventually get out of your perceived notion of Elo Hell. It's not as hard as I thought it would be once I started to actually improve myself rather than try to yell at my teammates. Even if the Vayne still thinks he's double lift and goes in 1v5. I hate supporting Vaynes. Maybe I'll do a video on what supports are thinking when they see a champion. That'd be fun. Anyway, that basically wraps up this video. Sorry, again, I sort of went off on some tangents here. As for the other videos, they're coming. I'm sorry, it's been pretty crazy here. There's been a lot of stuff going on. I've had a lot of extra hours at work, and I'm looking for a different job. All that fun stuff. Please forgive me. Believe me, the next Let's Play of Pokemon, the next Let's Play of Dark Souls, and the next Pokemon of the Week, for the past week as well, is also coming. I'm really sorry about that. I'm trying to be as consistent as I can, but I just haven't had the time to really do much because I've been focusing to try to improve League so I can actually show you some pretty decent games with that. So, I really do apologize. Thank you for watching this video. I'm the Gamer Ninja, and I hope really you listened to what I said, and I hope that I've helped you out even just a little bit. Thank you, and have a great day.